Good morning. I want to continue today with our series as we started yesterday. What did Jesus do the days leading up to his crucifixion? I shared with you yesterday what he did on Monday. Let me share with you today, what did he do on Tuesday? What did Jesus do during Holy Week, the Tuesday after his Monday? From what I can find out now and research, on Tuesday morning, Jesus and his disciples left Bethany and returned back to Jerusalem. They passed the withered fig tree on the way that he had cursed on Monday. And Jesus once again spoke to his disciples about their faith. Matthew 23, verses 13 through 16. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For you neither go in yourselves, neither suffer you them that are entering to go in. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you devour widows' houses, and a pretense make long prayers. Therefore you receive the greater damnation. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, ye hypocrites! For you compass sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. Jesus then went back to the temple after cursing the fig tree, and he begins teaching again. The Jewish Pharisees and religious leaders became even more upset at Jesus for he said woe unto them in his teachings in the temple. Jesus claimed himself as the spiritual authority. It was then that the Jewish leaders and Pharisees organized an ambush with the intent to arrest him. But Jesus evaded their traps and pronounced judgment. Woe will come to them. Woe to you for taking away widows' houses. Woe to you for long prayers with no meanings. Woe to you for damning the land. Woe to you for swearing in the temple and making people like yourselves. Then Matthew chapter 24, the first 14 verses. And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See you not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here none one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence, and earthquakes in divers places. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise and deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. That last verse, I've been told by many people, is the reason that Jesus is the only reason that has not been fulfilled, that Jesus has not come back yet. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come I understand they still just a few parts of the world that the word has not been taught yet. Jesus begins to finish his teachings to the disciples here in the temple. He left the scribes and Pharisees after giving them prophecy of their judgment. He then went to the Mount of Olives, less than a mile walk from the temple. There the disciples went with him. At the Mount of Olives, Jesus once again tries to teach his disciples about the last days. The Mount of Olives is due east of the temple and overlooks Jerusalem. It's a beautiful place. I was able to go there. And I couldn't help but stop when I was there, and I had to bow on my knees and say, Lord, here it was that you prayed. Let me pray also at the same place you prayed. Here Jesus gives the disciples his answer. And this answer is called the Olivet is the way I like to say it, discourse. In other words, his words from the Mount of Olives. He gives his prophecy about the destruction of Jerusalem, the end of the age, and of the time when he will come back again. He speaks again in a parable. And as he speaks about his coming again, he talks about his second coming and the final judgment and the way the world will be before he will come back again. Finally, on Tuesday, chapter 26, verses 14, 15, and 16. Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went unto the chief priest and said unto them, What will you give me, and I will deliver him unto you? And they coveted with him for 30 pieces of silver. And from that time he sought opportunity to betray Jesus. Scripture indicates that it was later on that Tuesday that Judas Iscariot thought about what he needed to do. He was ashamed of his actions at this point, so he went and tried to negotiate with the Sanhedrin, the high court. What will you give me to deliver Jesus to you? What will you give me? Judas asked. And they made a contract with him to for him to point out Jesus to them for 30 pieces of silver. After a trying and tiring day of confrontations, about warnings, about the future, about him coming back, Jesus and the disciples on that Tuesday night returned to Bethany to spend the night for rest. Stay tuned. We'll find out what happened on Wednesday. Have a good day.